What is up, guys? I'm still working on my journey on closing the hood officially with the OEM hood latch, and I got a list of 6 or 7 things that need to happen. Problem number 1, I am buying a new radiator to replace this one. I had this moved forward when I put the new motor in, but because the 2JZ is an inline 6, it is so much longer than the previous one, and I needed more room in here. I wanted to get my hand in here for, fixing things and maintenance and whatnot. When I did that, I have clearance issues at the top. I actually cut those out in order to get this to fit, and it still does not close. If you see, this is the fan housing. It goes way past this, so I'm losing so much pressure that should be going through the core by having it exposed like that on both sides. But these guys are powerful, and they keep it cool at like 190-ish, no matter how hard I got on it. But that is the first thing that needs to happen, and let's get started. Hey, Mr. Oil, where are you coming from? Perks of buying a 5-pound container of protein means that you get to use this as a coolant holder. There's one thing that I'll never be good at, and it's dealing with coolant. Yeah, yet again I made a huge mess. I'm fixing it. I got the bucket right there. Hose is draining. This little crevice is notorious for stockpiling fluids that you spill from the top, especially coolant, because the coolant neck is right there. So on your 300ZX, keep these, or keep this one at least, free of any fluid, or else it'll just rust out right away. So here's the coolant drain for the block and the back of the motor. I found a really long hose that fit right on there. I think it's a 12 millimeter and it's a 14. All right, back at it with the 14. There we go. It was a pain, a leaky mess, but it's out. So that circular disc is the bottom tab that holds the OEM radiator. Well, I cut it and slid it forward to get some more space in front of the engine. Did the same thing on this side. But because of that, that is why I have the issue and why I'm going through this process to change the radiator to lower the clearance so I can fit the frickin' hood back on. It's been too long. Alright, UPS dropped off a very sweet package today. I got my radiator. After going through tons of measurements, I finally figured out what I think I need. So, let me show you. So here we got the new bad boy. It's a Mishimoto, just like the one I had before. But, major differences though. It's a general shape. I got a shorter one and a little wider. It is a downfall radiator, so it flows down. This one flows to the side. The specs on this, I'll post a link to it. I got it on Amazon because they had it after searching through all the right sizes I need. So let me show you how the fan matches up, because the fan fits beautifully on that as opposed to this thing. Rule of thumb is a polar fan works better, but because of my space issue on the car, I will be pushing air through the radiator instead of pulling. So I bought this badass 3100 CFM fan, and this thing blows like crazy. That's what she said. But it was very long, didn't fit the radiator quite well. You could see all these gaps on the side. That just means you're wasting pressure. All the pressure that's building up from the fans is just going out the sides. Same thing over here, about 1.5 inches on both sides when you straighten it out. Also, I'm not getting the whole bottom of the core or the top of the core. So, very inefficient setup, but I was still able to run at around 190 with that fan setup. This is a near perfect fit. Let me line up both sides. Bam. That baby fits right on there. So, you want to keep your seams as close as possible. You don't want anything hanging over. You don't want any exposed core, because then you're just wasting pressure. It's like the air is going to take the path of least resistance. If you only give it this path to go through the core, it's going to go through. If you give it an opening like that, it's going to go out the side. This ensures all the air goes through my radiator. So this is the biggest reason I chose it. Give you a thickness perspective, this is 2 inches, that is 2.5. The holes are actually different. So the outlets and the inlets are, I believe, 7/8 on this guy, and this is 1 1/4. This will need some work. So let me show you how this fits in the car because it sits in beautifully. I will need to make some mount adjustments though. So it's sitting in on the already moved mounts. I have the fan in, it's tucked up nice and tight. It may have to get moved up a little bit. The fan is just sagging a smidge. But overall it fits. The hardest issue is going to be adapting this guy to this guy. So to fit these tabs, they are 22 inches apart, and there's a dip inside the outer channel that comes just as deep as the fins do. These are actually 23.5 inches apart, middle to middle, and those tabs are 22 inches apart. I'm actually going to cut these, position them in both sides, cut this little flap out. So to get more room for that dip, I actually had to cut into this front member, and I pushed all the way back beforehand for the old radiator, and I'm going to bring it up and cut it. That should give me more clearance and let me sit the radiator all the way as low as it can go. Finally out. Now I have the radiator sitting in. I put the rubber mount, or the rubber bushing on that pin. I have it sitting right where it should. And honestly, it's not bad. This side is missing just a little bit. You see that pin is actually outside of the circle disc that holds it. I'm just gonna slide the one because looking at these holes, the radiator comes to about half of the second hole. It's only like 1/4 of an inch off. So instead of having to re-weld 2 of them, I'm gonna leave that one and just pull that one in and put this bushing on, and it'll sit just right. I got the tab cut, sitting where I want to sit, and I am going to mark where it will line up, and there we go. Look at the space that I have now. This is beautiful. This is what I've been looking for. So these are about the right height, just a slight difference in height. So what I'm thinking is, since this radiator over here, the one that was in it, has a bunch of leaks and was fixed, and if I go to sell it I wouldn't get much, I might as well use it for parts. I have the 2 leaks in the front, a lot of the fins are all off, and honestly I wouldn't get much for it. I have to buy these ports anyway if I'm going to re-weld that radiator. So I'm going to cut these guys off, get them modified and ready to weld onto here. So I'm going to weld that one on the top at a 45 coming this way. So all I'll need is a 90-degree hose coming from here to here. That solves one problem. Making that one bigger, I have some junctions that'll make that work. Solves the other problem. So, first thing, I got to remove those. So let's get to it. That should just about do it. A little gap to fill in the weld, but for the most part it can make a 90 hose work right there. And I should be running coolant very soon. Cannot wait. Let's get this thing welded.
I can honestly set something to get that angle. You know what I'm saying? I can just take a ruler and stretch it out to get this angle. So that's easy.
All right, time to go pick up the radiator. Let's go. There we go. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to get one of, they have like thinner clamps for this side.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to Kyle Sneed, a good buddy of mine, who came over and did the weld job for me because I couldn't bring the car anywhere to get welded. So he brought the MIG over to me, patched it all up, fixed the welds, and they look beautiful. So thanks again, man. You're awesome. I really appreciate it. I really hope this thing cools well. This was a ton of work to make fit, but she sits beautifully. I'm going to make a hook tab that goes around this and around this to keep it aligned on the top. So now the bottom's secured, time to secure the top. The fan is in, but my God, it's such a tight fit, especially because I have my fuse box right here and my oil cooler hoses sneaking past the side. So it's giving me a tight squeeze in the bottom, maybe even rubbing. but it is in. So material for these, I couldn't find any just spare aluminum, but I did just cut out my hood ribbing, and guess what? It's aluminum. Look at that. Now that is beautiful. You know, they're pretty subtle, kind of garbage pieces, but that's JDM metal straight from the hood. That's the best metal around, baby. But yeah, no, it fits really good. It's very tight with the radiator and the fans in on the bottom. The tabs have a hard time getting pushed in. But once I pull this back enough, I pop that corner in. I get these tabs on. They bolt on this screw on the back of each of them, on each side. I still don't even know if this radiator job is going to work. Previously with that old radiator, I used to run at 185. 195. I'm hoping to run 180s with this guy. And plus have a hood that closes, which I should test. Because I know the cap is kind of close. Whatever. Let's see. No, we're good. So that marks the end of this video. I just wanted to make part one about, how I got this radiator to fit and why I chose it, because the last radiator wasn't heating the car to my liking and it didn't fit because I needed to close the hood. So with that being said, there will be a part two to this that shows you the results of the cooling on this new radiator. So that's going to show up somewhere on the screen. Go ahead and click on that and watch the next video. But until then, I'll see you guys next time, and please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Peace. I'm Dylon Da Silva. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you liked it. Give this video a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all new content every week. You guys have a good one.